Hi guys, and welcome back to Maths with Miss S. This is part 2 on Pythagoras Theorem, and this video will focus more on exercises where it's not the hypotenuse that we're looking for. And to understand that, we need to really make sure we know how to interpret Pythagoras Theorem. And the correct interpretation is that the hypotenuse squared is equal to the squares of the other two side lengths added together. So whenever you are dealing with Pythagoras theorem, start filling in with the hypotenuse. So your 5 squared goes in first. Then you start with whatever's missing, so x squared, and the other side length 4 squared. This is how you fill in correctly. Always start with your hypotenuse. Now, why is that so important? Because a lot of students tend to just put in whatever is missing on the right hand side, which is incorrect. It has to be the hypotenuse that's separate there. Now, 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16, and 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is 25. So we now have an equation, x squared plus 16 equals 25, which we're supposed to solve. In order to get rid of that plus 16 on the left hand side, we will now subtract 16 on both sides in order to move it over, pretty much. So 25 minus 16, you can write it down next to each other or underneath if that's easier for you. So you get x squared is equal to 9. The plus 16 and minus 16 simply cancel out. So all that's left is x squared is equal to 9. And as we discussed yesterday, that square needs to professionally be removed with the square root. So we put the square root over both sides of our equation, and that leaves us with only x on the left hand side and on the right hand side the square root of 9. The square and the square root that would have been there on the left hand side cancel each other out, so it's only x that's left, and the square root of 9 is 3. Important, always fill in the hypotenuse first. Put that on the right hand side, separate from everything else, to not make mistakes. Why is that so important? The main issue that I have is a squared plus b squared equals c squared is usually what you find in your formula booklet. The problem is you have to understand that c squared has to be the hypotenuse, and you will see that in this triangle here. Here the hypotenuse is actually a. So the correct Pythagoras theorem for this specific triangle is not a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's actually b squared plus c squared equals a squared. So start filling in your hypotenuse first and then square the other two side lengths on the left hand side and add them together. Make sure you understand that the hypotenuse has to be on the right hand side. Even if the triangle has side lengths ABC and they're not in the right spots, do not always just write down a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Understand what the formula stands for. So in the last exercise, I used D, E, F for the names of the side lengths. F is the hypotenuse as it is opposite of our right angle in the right angle triangle, and the other two side lengths, D and E, are being squared on the left hand side. That's it.